record it? Boom. Okay, thank you. So we will be recording this. So Fulton County Domestic Violence Program, when a client presents to us with a housing need, our steps are pretty much probably the same as other areas. We're going to do a BOES vat with them to assess their need. We're going to put them on the coordinated entry list potentially. We would do Section 8 applications with them. We assess all of their needs to see what it is that they're looking for. From there, we also, if they're living at our safe dwelling or residing there, we do ask them to do housing contacts. We have housing contact sheets that we made that look very similar to DSS's ones. So we ask them to do that on a weekly basis. And we kind of suss out all of the options locally. We do rely on the coordinated entry process, though, to help with some of the clients that are a little more difficult in finding housing, or from the rent subsidy side of it. From a grant perspective, we do have a few grants in play right now where we are able to do security and first month's rent. And then as of October 1st this year, 2024, we will have DV bonus money, where we can house 7 clients. So from there, we will be hiring I haven't come up with an official title, but a landlord liaison case manager type individual who will be working directly with these folks for the case management piece, finding the housing, et cetera. So I foresee that when we have that in play, we'll be using coordinated entry less as an outreach for help from other agencies, more of just, documentation of who's in the program and who has needs. So we also do a lot of referrals directly over to Salvation Army with Captain Wendy for household items, belongings. And we do currently still have grant funding for household supplies, furniture, cleaning supplies, locks, pretty much anything that they're asking for, with the exception of we don't have any funding at this moment right now for like utilities, anything past that first month's rent and security. But we did apply for and were awarded the Office for Prevention of Domestic Violence Flex Funding Grant that started January 1st. We haven't officially received the dollars yet, but when we do, that can go towards rent, mortgage, lease payments, utilities. There's a lot that it can go towards. We don't have it in our grasps yet. And so as soon as we get that, we can utilize that towards people. So again, I think that would mitigate any additional referrals to like your different programs, because we could be handling that internally. We just don't have access to that yet. I think, Candy, you're talking.
Arrears?
What?
Is that rental arrears, or is that future rent payments in the flex funding?
Flex funding is both.
Okay.
So Office for Prevention of Domestic Violence, long story short, they listened to us talk over the last 2 years of what we really need for our clients. And instead of giving us the same grant over and over for first month's rent and security, this grant is very, very flexible. And as long as they are a victim of domestic violence and there's like a little, they would have to be a part of our program, but we could receive direct referrals. Danielle, we're partnering with captains for that referral. So Jen, same with you. If somebody comes into one of your programs and they're a Fulton County resident and they're a victim of DV, like we could partner with you for funding, or for whatever, not even necessarily funding, but funding for like household supplies. If you're going to do like the rapid rehousing, there's a lot of pieces to it that are very flexible, which is what the state wanted. So we could actually really use it towards the people who really need it, not just, those certain categories of people that have to fall in these certain areas.
Perfect.
Awesome. And I'm sorry, that was kind of a rip roll of how we do it, but do you have any questions?
No, that's wonderful. I just wanted to go back and make sure that everybody on the call understands what coordinated entry is. Just in the process, everybody gets that, just because we've been on calls before and they're like, wait, go back. What is coordinated entry and how does it work? So I just want to make sure everybody on the call understands the process of coordinated entry.
Rachel, do you want a real brief overview? Are you familiar with coordinated entry?
Okay. So coordinated entry basically is our system that we utilize in both counties. So essentially everybody, not DV, but all of the other agencies utilize HMIS, or the CARE system. So when somebody presents as homeless or at risk of homelessness, there is a no wrong door approach, where an intake, the coordinated entry intake, is completed, as well as the BOSS VAT, which I hate that name, but however we want to say it. So the intake and the BOSS VAT is completed. That is then input into HMIS. We then get the vulnerability score from there, and then an individual is placed on coordinated entry. Being on coordinated entries does not necessarily mean that an individual is immediately placed into one of our community programs. What it is that they are placed on that coordinated entry list. We then case conference as a county every month, once a month, and we then discuss all of those cases. So individuals like myself, Danielle from Captain, DSS is on because they have RSP funding. So all of the different agencies are on the call. So based on eligibility and program availability, we then take those individuals off the list and we put them into programs. So essentially the individuals that have the highest vulnerability score and that are in the program for the longest length of time, that's who we look at first. And then we try to place them into the appropriate programs. So some of those programs being the PSH program, Rapid Rehousing Program. Again, I mentioned there's the RSP, Rental Supplement Program under DSS. There's the STEP under Captain. So there's different programs that those individuals are then put into. And then the respective agencies begin to work with those individuals or families on a one-on-one basis. And essentially the first thing is we're housing first principle and like rapid rehousing. So we first work on housing and then we work on all the other things that they would need assistance with, whether it be mental health, substance, anything related to anything they need. And that's kind of how coordinated entry works.
That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I had no script. Usually I'm
so
like, I
messy.
have this little paper. Usually I have a script. So thank you.
I love it. You should hear me explain it. I go off on tangents and I'm like, that was a nice little, I'm going to keep this recording.
Well, I usually go off on tangents too, but I'm glad that made sense. So yeah, so essentially, like I said, no wrong door approach. Every agency does that with the intake and the boss VAT. Individuals get on coordinated entry, and that is the starting point for them, for us to even start to case conference and talk about them and get them on our radar as a county and as a community. Any questions about coordinated entry before I talk about rapid rehousing?
Nope.
Okay, so rapid rehousing is the program for, so we're talking about Fulton County. IPH runs rapid rehousing, and then Danielle will then talk about PSH, which is permanent supportive housing that Captain looks over for Fulton County. In Montgomery County, just want to point it out, IPH does both the rapid rehousing and the PSH program. So just a little tidbit for you guys. So rapid rehousing is now under COC funding. Some of you, me and Candy used to work rapid rehousing ESG. It is, or no, you did COC? Okay. So Candy's familiar with this program, which is great. And IPH used to do the ESG program. So not to be confused with it. Things are a little bit different. Essentially, it's the same program, but the services are a bit different. So again, rapid rehousing is a 3-year program. Up to 3 years, individuals or families can be in the program. And then rental assistance is up to 2 years. So we get them into our program. We then have the housing first principle. We start looking for housing, and then we work with them case management based on all the other, we do an assessment and needs, and based on those things, we then continue to work with them on their goals and of course, housing. So there is that case management piece attached that is very important. So there's other programs in the county and community like RSP that are a rental supplement program, but they don't have those components. So when we do case conferencing on our case management meetings, it's just important to know what individuals or families really need, because if they do need that case management piece, then rapid rehousing or PSH is a great program for them. Whereas RSP or something like STEP, STEP is just a first month's rent and security. Correct me if I'm wrong, Danielle. That's just first month's rent and security and not so much case management.
Nope, it comes with 6 months of case management as well.
Oh, perfect. So excuse me. So STEP also comes with case management, but something like the RSP program does not come with any case management. It's basically just like a rental supplement, which is great for individuals who need that. But if we're noting that a family or a certain case needs that case management, then we just want to take that into consideration when we're referring during coordinated entry. So rapid rehousing, we can assist with a number of different things. Again, we have that rental assistance for up to the 24 months, but essentially they can be in the program for up to 3 years if they need that. So we can also provide that case management for that extra year. We can do security deposits, obviously first month's rent. We can also do utility deposits, and we can assist with some supportive services. Right now, we don't have a lot of supportive services dollars. We're really trying to put the finances into rental assistance and things that we really need, because as you know, even though FMR is like maybe like what 9 something for a 2-bedroom, we're not really finding things within the FMR. So we're really trying to utilize the majority of our funding for rental services. So with that being said, we also utilize outside resources for supportive services. Like Amanda was saying, we utilize the Salvation Army. We can do a handy ups and downs referral for both clothing and household items.
We can too. Sorry, I forgot about that.
No, that's okay. So yeah, so there's different community resources that we utilize, and if we find one, we share them. We're not gatekeepers. I'd like to also point that out, is that each one teach one. That's how we do at IPH, and that's how we're able to spread the knowledge and gain the knowledge and provide the resources to other people. So definitely, if there's a resource, we'll let you guys know if it's new to us. And I think everybody should do the same because it is in the best interest of the clients.
For sure. And I think too, Jen, like the client that Jasmine just housed that Corey was working with, we didn't realize that you guys didn't, not that you didn't have a subsidy or supplement to do all the other stuff. Like if we don't offer it, you can definitely push it back or have Jasmine connect with Corey or Emily or one of us, because we don't mind. Like the one grant that we have will be running out in September. We still have a really decent amount of money. So our typical is we give like each client $1,000. And like a one-time gig, $1,000, and we have it shipped to their house. We don't give the client the money.
That's what we do as well. Yep.
Right. So like the third party, but because we have so much and we only have 6 months left to it, I'm not opposed with this individual. We just helped, like she came from nothing. She had nothing. So we spent a lot more on her, but we're not opposed to doing that if we know that it's going to help somebody get ahead and get on their feet. So for you and Danielle too, if you have somebody that we're working with, like don't be afraid to ask us, because we have it right now. When it's gone, it's gone. I can't make you any promises after October, but from now till October, like we have it.
So question, say it was just asking, and if it's a no, that's fine. What if Danielle's house got somebody into housing? Would they be able to utilize that flex spending or whatever grant if they did like what is it, like an eval over the phone, or do they actually have to be part of one of your programs and participate?
They have to have an intake into program. We can do intakes over the phone. We still are okay with it because of COVID laws and whatnot, or COVID regs, but they would definitely have to be a victim of DV. That's like the number one thing. We could work something out to do an over the phone intake. And basically all that means is a 1 year, we have like a 1 year, it's not a contract, but their intake paperwork is good for 1 year. They're part of the program. If they're just coming in and they're a direct referral from your guys' programs just because they really need it and we have this, I'm okay with that as long as we have the money. Absolutely. If they're DV, we have the money and they're a direct referral from you, we'll take it, because at the end of the day, you all know grant funding, if you don't use it, you lose it. You don't ever get it again. So, I'd rather have it go to somebody who needs it if they meet these very small parameters.
Very much appreciated. Yes, we wouldn't refer anybody who didn't have DV, but I think, as you guys know, there are a lot of people who just don't want to report it, or they're scared to report it, or they do report it and just say, I don't want the services. I'm okay where I'm at, but it has happened to me. So I'm thankful for that. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is rapid rehousing. We do get creative with the supportive houses or the supportive services. But that is exactly what we do. So 3 years of case management, and then the 2 years rental assistance. And then based on their assessment and their needs, we would help them, with moving costs, utility. And again, it's a case by case basis based on what that family or individual really needs.
So it's really only, and I'm sorry, I feel like kind of dumb because I think I know the answers to these, but it's only really the first month's rent and security, then everything after that, they're responsible?
No, not at all. No, I was just telling you, yeah, so what
Oh.
we do is, those are the things that we can pay for. And then we do 30% of their income, or we do, their shelter allowance payment, whatever is highest of those. So for
Okay.
example, like right now, we're working with a family of 3, and their shelter allowance payment is higher than anything. So we would take that amount. So but normally we would go by 30% of income. That's how
Awesome.
we do that. And then it can be up to 2 years. Of course, we have to be careful with our verbiage, and especially the landlords, because if you say we're paying their rent for 2 years, that's a lot different than they're eligible for rental assistance for up to 2 years. So it's really how you present it. So they are eligible for up to 2 years, based on their compliance and based on their need. And then we would continue to pay that based on that. But again, the goal is for them to be self-sufficient, and become, able to pay on their own. So that's what we do. As soon as somebody, enters the program, we're already planning long-term goals for them. So that way they'll be able to sustain that, housing even after the rental assistance program.
And you
Awesome.
can pick people up with 0 income, like at the time they're on the list, right?
Yes, the first thing we do though is have them start to get compliant with DSS. That would be like a first, best practice for our case manager. And something I would encourage everybody to do, because if they don't have any income, have anything, they can at least as a starting point, apply for TA services. Because as we know, there's that 45 to 90-day rule where I don't know which one is which, but there always some kind of waiting period. So encouraging them, if they have no income, to apply for TA is a best practice.
Awesome. Corey or Emily, do you have any other questions? 'Cause I know we both have clients that have worked with Jen's program, so.
No, that covered pretty much all of it. I'll keep thinking if I think of anything, like, oh, wait,
So our offices are at 33 Bleecker, right in Gloversville, just letting you guys know. We do have a doorbell. We can accept walk-ins, but we are on the 2nd floor. So just making an appointment and, letting the girls know before somebody walks in is a best practice. And Jasmine's phone number, just if nobody has it, is 518-384-4701. And then it's all of our IPH emails are basically the same. It's our first name, last initial at IPH, NewYork.org. And I can, if anybody reaches out to me and you need her email, I can send it to you. And we no longer have the other position right now. So more to come, with the other position. So Jasmine is the only one working in Fulton County at this time. And then we have Miss Deanna, who will be, doing both rapid rehousing and PSH for Montgomery County.
Awesome. Can you receive mail at that 33 Bleecker Street?
Absolutely.
Okay. Awesome. Jasmine worked really hard on that last client who got housed, so.
Yeah, that was her first client. She got her house pretty quick. She learned
Yeah.
the system pretty quick. And she's doing a great job. I'm very proud. So
Yeah.
she was supposed to go see her today. So I hopeful that next week we'll do our first in person. And everything seems to be going really well. So I'm excited.
awesome. I hear nothing but great things from the client when she talks to me about everything, so.
Good. That's good to
Make
know.
me
I
happy.
greatly appreciate that. I work very
Yeah.
hard to train my individual. So thank you.
Yeah, she's blown
Awesome.
away, honestly, by all the help.
Oh, nice. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Beautiful. Okay. Okay, Jen, are you good on your end? And we'll move to Danielle, or did you have anything
Yeah,
else
I was
you'd like
gonna
to
say
share?
Danielle can talk about PSH, and I don't know, Danielle, if you want to talk about STEP. I don't know how much more funding you guys have, but you could also talk about that if you wanted to, because I didn't know about the case management piece, so I'm sorry.
Okay, well, we do still have funding.
Okay.
So STEP does have the income requirement, so you do have to have income to qualify. And it does have to be enough to sustain an apartment moving forward and verifiable. And you have to, you can't couch surf to qualify for STEP, so it has to be actual homelessness at the time or fleeing a domestic violence situation that is verifiable by a DV.
Can they self-declare how homelessness or no?
it's like the last resort. We try not to have that,
Right.
but we can if we can't verify it by another source.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. With that, it does come with first month's rent or security, or one or the other. We don't always do both, but we can. And then it does come with 6 months of case management. Some people don't use it. It's not a requirement, but it is there for them with that. And then with PSH, we still have a 2-bedroom or a family situation available. And with that, you have to have a mental health or substance abuse or like any verifiable mental health. I'm sorry if that piece is with that.
It's okay.
document.
It's a documented disability.
Yes.
That's what you would need. Yep.
And
And
you don't-
you have to be chronically homeless as well.
Yes. And then with that, we still have one available, so family for that. And then that is ongoing subsidy. There is not an income piece required with that. And if you do have income, it is 30%.
And
What
that's
if we
the
have-
PSH.
Yes.
Yep, so permanent supportive housing. So it's a lot like the rapid rehousing, just like Danielle said, but it's, the differences are the, obviously you have to be chronically homeless. They have to have documentation of disability, which if anybody's interested in exactly what that is, I can send a link over, because
Yeah.
there's different criteria for that. And then, like Danielle said, it's a lifelong, it can be up to a lifelong assistance. So the goal is not to leave individuals on it forever. It's them to start on it, and then hopefully they get off with some other sustainable income, and then opening that up to somebody else. But it is lifetime ongoing. We'll be getting the funds ongoing, so.
And
So
so
is there
this
a
is
single-
through coordinated entry, not SPOA?
Correct.
Okay.
And both of the clients that we did house actually came from family counseling referrals, actually.
From DV or just family counseling?
Just family counseling.
Okay. Oh, cool. Okay. Can you talk a little more about STEP in terms of like process? Like when a client, I know we've referred people, but I just figure it's good like to understand it. So when people get referred to you, or when you pull them off the coordinated entry list, like what's the process? Do you have them do apartment searches? Do you go with them? Like how can you just explain like the process?
So it is a mix of both. I have a bunch of, like, if it's Gloversville and it's like a 1-bedroom or 2, usually I can get them right into an apartment quick because I have 2 landlords that instantly, like if they call and tell them they're with Captain, it's pretty much a guaranteed in for them.
Nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's pretty quick. They just have to apply and then they're pretty much given the apartment for a 1 or a 2. If it's anything above like a 3, or sometimes with a 3, I do have 1 landlord that'll automatically give, but if anything bigger is sometimes more difficult.
Yeah.
But we do give them a list, and it is a mix of both. But we do have them actively search with us with that process.
Okay. And then what's your case management look like? Do people take that, or they're like, no, we already got what we need? Like,
It's a mix of both. Like we do a lot of referrals. If they need furniture, we give them, Captain has Treasures, so we give them a voucher to Treasures, which is our thrift store. So it is a mix.
where is that, in Saratoga?
That's in Clifton Park.
Or-
So we will, if they give us a list, we'll actually go and do the shopping for them.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So they just tell us what they need, and I'll go personally and pick it up for them. And I've called them and like told them, like I'll send them pictures if they have a phone.
That's
of what
awesome.
it is.
Is it
It makes it
furniture or just household items?
Household items. If they need furniture, we'll do rebuilding together. I'll go and pick it up there. We can take them and pick it up.
Awesome.
And they donate 100% to it, so they can go like shop the store.
Cool.
So we do a lot of that.
Okay.
But it is a mix, and depending on how many service providers people have will depend if they really want the case management piece or not.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just
So
wondering-
really, it's a mix of, some people will utilize them and call every day, and some people, we have to check in with them once a month still, so.
Gotcha. I know you talked about Gloversville, but what if people are looking for like outlying areas of Fulton County, like the Mayfields, Broad Albans, you know what I mean? Like outer, like Ephrata, Oppenheim. What does that look like?
We can still find them. It's not as quick. Like, so Loversville and Lincoln, we do Montgomery County too. So it's just not as quick in some areas to find. The market is just really difficult to even find affordable apartments right now.
Yeah.
So it's
And
just,
the ones that are within the FMR are not up to the best par, I will
Yeah.
say. So that's,
and even
yeah,
the
that's,
ones above are disgusting.
Still
I've gone
not.
to inspections and landlords will be like, oh, this is great. And I'm like, this is disgusting.
I'm
Um,
noticing that landlords aren't even cleaning now in between. Like, it used to be like a fresh coat of paint and like, okay, cool, like get you in. They're not even vacuuming and wiping things now. So it's challenging.
And the ones that DSS approves are really gross. Like
Yeah.
I've had meetings with DSS where I will explain the apartment. So they'll be like, oh, this landlord's great. And I'll be like, no, he's not. Like
I
always tell
think
them
that's
not.
kind of attesting to what we said is like the inspection. So Danielle, you have an inspection, right, with STEP?
Yes, we have we use the same inspection as PSH. So
Okay, so the HQS.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we use the same HQS standards in rapid rehousing, but unfortunately, like I said, with the RSP program, they don't do an inspection, they don't do the case management. So those are the missing pieces. It's a great program, don't get me wrong, because it's supplementing rental income for individuals who don't have it. But it doesn't have that inspection piece, it doesn't have the case management piece. And that's where we're all finding that that's where the loopholes and the, people are falling in the cracks there, so.
For sure. Now, can you explain a little bit for both of your programs, like what this looks like for the client, like for us, like Corey meets with them once a week, or she at least schedules them a meeting once a week, so that way there's a check-in and there's just ongoing communication. Do you have any of that built into your programs for like the initial process when I know, Jen, we've talked because some of our clients are hard to reach, right? But like that initial process of like, you reach out to them, you connect with them. Do you meet regularly, or is it just kind of client driven or client led? Like, what's that look like for both of your programs?
So we go by our manual. We have manuals, for both PSH and rapid rehousing. So as far as IPH is concerned, once, we meet with them, normally when they first come into our program, we meet with them within 5 business days. We try to at least. We also make multiple, attempts at communication. We send them letters. We also communicate with the referring agency, which would be DV or whoever that would be, to try to also bridge that gap there. So we do the multiple communication attempts, and then if we can't, then apparently, obviously we have to not let them into the program. But we do many attempts. We'll even go in person. Once they are into the program, while we're looking for housing, normally once a week at a minimum, but we have noticed that the people that really want to find housing are really communicating almost every day.
Yep.
So at a minimal once a week, after they're stably housed, case management requirement is a minimum of once a month. But that, it's normally more than that, whether it be in person. We say one in person at least once a month. But it could be if they need it once a week. If a crisis occurs, then we meet with them weekly until they're over that crisis. But our minimal is once a month once they're stably housed.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Danielle, do you have like protocols or regs or whatever that you follow to, or just is it client driven?
With STEP, it is really client driven on how much they communicate with us in the beginning. We can see it's different on how much they want to be housed with STEP too.
Okay. And then for PSH, is there like regs for that?
Yeah, we follow those, but we're really in communication with them. They in and out of the office a lot though.
Sure.
Like
Okay.
I have them stopping in and out. Like today, a lot of them walk in though.
Okay.
They're right down the street though. And both of my clients are in the same apartment building.
Oh,
So when
funny.
I stop in, I can see
That
them both.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're literally one's in the front building, one's in the back. So I usually see them about twice a week.
Awesome. Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions? I know I've been firing questions at you guys. This has been really productive for me.
I will say when an individual is accepted into our programs, our rapid rehousing program or PSH program, as far as IPH is concerned, providing the homeless verification form is something that the referring agency can do.
Okay.
Just kind of to be proactive. Once you know the individuals in our program, you can send over their contact information. If we don't know their first name, Jasmine had said that the other day. She's like, I know their number. I don't know and their initials.
Sorry.
She's like, I don't want to
That's me.
call and say, hi QP, you know, or hi NH. I'm like, you're right. I was like, good one. So, you know, giving us their first name to start off with, their contact information, and then the homeless verification form. I
Yes.
think that would also help Danielle because that's like one of our first documents that we're looking for. And that would help greatly if we could just kind of start off the
Beautiful.
referral with that. Correct, Danielle? That way it would help you too. That way we don't have to go searching for it, asking for somebody or asking the client to self-declare their housing.
I love that. I will. So I'm usually the one that attends coordinated entry. If I don't attend, Emily is going to start attending as well. And I mean, Candy and Corey have been in them. So we'll just make that a process. If they get picked up by either of your organizations, I or whoever attended the meeting will automatically send over just the homeless verification and then a little blurb with their info.
Yeah, just a little
name and
blurb like,
contact.
hey, this is the individual's first
Yep.
name and this is their most recent contact info. And then if Jasmine or Deanna, whoever has an issue, then they can reach back out and see
Beautiful.
what's up.
Okay. Yeah, I apologize for that. I get all excited when they get taken off.
No,
of
that's
this.
okay. I
I'm,
just
like,
figured I'd
emailing
mention
everybody.
it now as a best practice. And that will
Yes.
probably help Danielle as well, because then that's one less thing we have to collect.
Yep, absolutely. That'll go over. We'll make that a formal process on our end. Thank you, Jen. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
I have a
And
question
then I'm
about
always
your
available.
rapid rehousing.
What's
Sorry.
up?
I
No,
have
go
a
ahead.
question about your rapid rehousing. Do you transport clients to look at the apartments?
So, normally the answer is normally no. But we try to find ways that we work around that. So for Fulton County, we can try to see if they're on the bus route. Most normally, we ask that they meet us at the site, and then we can do the inspection, and they can also be present. So it's not that we don't try to discourage them from going. We just can't transport in our personal vehicles. For Montgomery County, which I know doesn't apply to you guys, but we do have an agency vehicle in Montgomery County. So if there were a situation, Deanna could just get the schedule the van, and she could transport a client as needed. But we do try to steer away from that just because liability and all that good stuff. So paying for taxis, public transportation, meeting them there are like our best practices.
We can assist we have taxi vouchers that we could utilize, but I think I would want to be conscientious of like not every single apartment they're going to look at. But if it was like going for an inspection,
Absolutely, yeah, right.
so I mean, I don't mind partnering with some of that if they're a DV person too. So.
Okay, wonderful. Good to know.
Mhm.
We have a little bit more resources, because now Montgomery County has a CDTA line. We have a
Right.
few, we get like discounted passes, so it's a little bit easier in Montgomery County. But I do hope that would be the goal soon,
Yeah.
for Fulton County as IPH grows.
Good question, Candy. Danielle, do you transport for yours?
We do, yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, anybody else have any questions?
Do you guys have any resources? I have noticed clients run into, they have to pay application fees for some apartments. Is that anything you guys help with, or that's kind of, if they choose to apply for that, they have to pay for the fee?
If they're in the rapid rehousing or PSH program, yes. We can't just pay it for anybody on coordinated entry, but once they're in our programs,
Yep.
yes, we can pay them. And then we also have to be compliant with New York State law, because some individuals like to pretend to charge $75 or charge it 3 times for 3. So, just going by New York State law and obviously what's feasible. So if a client came and said, I want to apply for this apartment that's 1,500 and the FMR is no, we're not going to do an application for that. But if
Right.
there was something that was, feasible and within reason, we absolutely would help with that.
Awesome. That's very good to know.
Yep. But again, they have to be in one of our programs.
Okay. And Danielle, you guys don't do that, correct?
Only for PSH.
PSH.
Awesome, good question, Corey. Okay, anybody else? Emily, do you have any questions? Rachel, do you have any over there?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording just so we can save it so Jasmine doesn't have to hear us chat.